Hello everybody, Large here with another Fix It video for you, and on the bench today we've got this Pioneer multi-play CD player which customers bought in to say they bought it, they put some discs in, they put the cartridge in, and now it will do nothing, it will not eject the cartridge. So I've had to make up a little bit of a jerry-rigged mains cable because it's got this odd Pioneer mains plug on it, but that's customer's happy with it staying as it is, so I'm just got to make sure I don't put my hands anywhere near it because there's live terminals. Anyway, that's another story. I powered this on earlier on just to confirm that the customer's fault was indeed what he said, and it's lit up and the cartridge has gone in a little bit and it's now cycling through the cartridges one after the other. And if I press play, nothing's happening. So I'm pretty certain the customer said that he actually put some discs in. It's possible he's put the discs in upside down, which is why it's not playing any discs. But when we come to press the eject, it gets to that point and just sits there humming and thrumming. Now, one of the classic faults with these Pioneers was that the optical block was mounted upside down and the lens itself can actually fall out, which stops the thing from working altogether in terms of playback. But what has been known to happen is that that lens falls into the mechanism, jams up the mechanism, and that's what I sort of suspect is happening here. So anyway, let's get the thing apart. I believe the customer may have already tried to extract the discs manually, but they haven't managed to do so because the case is not put back properly. So luckily with this there's only 4 screws. So there's the lid off, and if I just quickly power it back on, it's still switched on. Press play. Now, the disc appears to be the right way up, and it's certainly cycling through each one, but it's not focusing. The disc is not giving its usual little twitch, which tells you normally that it's seeing the disc. So now all we've got to work out is why the cartridge will not eject. So I suspect that the main issue with the playback is that the objective lens has fallen out. It's gone inside the mechanism somewhere. It's either got stuck in the grease, which has happened in the past. I found lenses actually stuck in the grease, or it's actually got jammed in the mechanism. So let's just try eject and see what happens. And nothing's ejecting, so let's power it off, safety switch, and then see if we can get the cartridge to pop out manually. So this should release the cartridge. I think, is that the one? Or is it this one? Can't remember. Let me just switch it back on again. I think I may be turning the wrong motor. Yeah, that's the lifter motor, right? So this is the eject motor. So this should get to the point where it goes ka-chunk and the cartridge pops out. Aha! And I can see something here in here which is not sitting correctly. Seems to be very loose. Oh, it's little roller switches which I see. So that's also disc loading. I thought this was also cartridge eject. Can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, it does. When it goes back this far, the cartridge should eject. If I switch it back on now, that should go forward a little bit, which it does. So that's definitely cartridge eject. Okay, so this is what should be happening. When we crank this back here, it should release the catch that's holding the cartridge in, and it's not for some reason. Now I just got to try and remember, it's a long time ago since I did one of these, but I'm pretty sure there's a little release lever which just holds the cartridge in. So I think probably the best way of dealing with this is to actually have the whole of the mechanism out. To get this whole mechanism out, we need to take the front panel off. Helps if you use the right screwdriver. I think there's just 2 on here, maybe 3 underneath on the front panel. Oh, I definitely heard something fall. Is that the objective lens I hear rattling around inside? It could well be. So just have to be careful when taking this any further. I don't want it to drop on the floor and me miss it. Quite often you can replace the objective lens or refit the objective lens back in. Definitely something rattling around in there. And then we have to release the power switch extension. Usually there's just a couple of little clips holding it onto the actual physical switch, which we can just prise apart slightly. The other screwdriver. There it is. And then that whole thing comes out of there, and that allows the front panel to come off a bit better. The cables usually just unflex enough to get that off. Just keep rattling things until I find something that's loose inside. And then we've got a cable tie here, which is a bit of a nuisance, but we can easily replace that. So whatever it is, there it is. Aha! One objective lens. That's fallen out of the bottom of that. That's very useful. We'll fit that back and hopefully that will allow it to play this once again. Right, so now we've got this front panel off. Where is the catch? Okay, so I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to take the mechanism out to see where the catch is. I've got a feeling it's very visible underneath. So we'll just release this clamp on the objective lens, but before we do anything, we'll just, for safety's sake, on here on this ribbon are 2 little contacts. And if I short this out, it will just prevent any possible static damage from damaging the laser. The trick is you've got to remember to unsolder it afterwards. It's just a tiny little dab of solder, nothing, you don't want to overheat it. But that's just now prevented any static going on around here. Right, so we should now be able to release plugs. Like so. And now we should be able to just get the 4 screws out, holding the whole chassis in. Put in that little tray to keep it separate. 1, 2, oops, drop the screw. It'll be in there somewhere. 4. Now, worst case scenario is that something's happened to this mechanism and something's broken off that's stopping the eject from working properly. There's the spare screw, so let's put that to one side for now. Let's have a look at this mechanism. So the catch that holds this in place is it here? Definitely loose this side. Oh, now, just realised one thing, apart from being very greasy. Just going to put that over there for now. This bit there is loose, it shouldn't be. There it is. That's the problem. I thought it was there. Right, so if you look here, you can just see that there's like a little bit of metal sticking up. That's a hole, and that lever there should be in there. So this is a catch like that. It should be a pin in there, and that's where the problem lies. That lever there is floating loose. Okay, so if we have a look at this lever on the side, which is what I've used to release the cartridge, you can actually see there's a pin that goes down through the metalwork on this side, and on this side there's a hole. You can just about see it here, but the pin itself is floating free because that's the pin has broken off of that lever. So what we've got to do is remove this lever out of here and see if we can make a new pin. Now I'm wondering if we can get at that without having to take too much of the rest of the mechanism out. I think we should be able to just lever it from here. I put a lever under there and then lift that pin out. There it is. As I thought, the spring there is catching on it further up, so it looks like I'm going to have to remove this whole side slide panel. So what we've got here is split washers. If my memory serves me right, these are split washers. Let's see if we can get under them with a spudger. Should be a split somewhere on there. Well, that one's come off. So it's a split washer with an ordinary washer underneath. Okay. Now, hopefully, right, so we've got a spring up here as well, which we need to just release. I'm sort of hoping it would just slide off, but for some reason it's not going to. Trying to see if there's anything else engaging. God, this grease is getting really annoying. Ah, there we are. So, now, we should be able to gingerly get that spring off there. Yeah. And there's the broken pin. And the remains of it, I think, is still in the plastic there. A little pointy tool. Yeah. And it's just come out there. Ah, I dropped it. There it is. So, you can just see that that pin should be on there. Now I don't think I'm going to be able to glue that, because I don't think that's going to glue very well. So what I'm going to do is give it a little bit of a clean. I'm going to find a pin of some kind, a piece of metal of a similar size to that. And because this is quite solid, push it through with a, get a soldering iron in there and heat it up. So give me a few minutes to see if I can find something that I can heat to drop through there to make the pin better. Right, well, having dug through my bits and pieces, one of the things that I managed to find was a little pin, believe it or not, and this pin which I think probably came from some old switch that I took to pieces. It's one of those little pins that roll along and whatever, but I've just checked it with the mechanism, and it's exactly the right hole size to go through that hole where this plastic pin normally sits. So I'm just basically going to heat it up. Just clean the old soldering iron. I'm going to heat it up very gently whilst holding it in place with my ceramic tweezers, although they're plastic, not ceramic. Just see if I can let the heat push its way through. Yeah, it's going through. Right, it's through one layer, through the other layer. It's not quite straight, so I just need to straighten it up a little bit. Yeah, it's looking about right. Now, I think if I just, before it cools completely, I just hold it in place. Yep, there's plenty of clearance there. Plenty of clearance. So hopefully that will stay in place. Yeah, it's still quite hot. I'll just let it cool down. I'll just hold it with the tweezers on the grip, and that will help sink away the heat. And then I can just gently scrape away the plastic where I've pushed it through, so that it will sit flush. Hopefully, fingers crossed. So that should be a lot cooler now. I think that should do it. Right, so having cleaned the plastic, let's bring the mechanism back in. Apologies if this video has jumped about a bit. The cameras have just been doing my head in today. Yeah, and here we go again, frozen camera for a minute or two. Alright, so hopefully, now that's where we're going to have a problem, is we're not going to get that in there smoothly, are we? Because the plastic bit was very rounded and would have popped in there quite nicely. Phew. There's plenty of clearance on that, but I can't get that into there, and then this is why it's too long. This pip needs only to be a little bit, so I think I'm going to have to saw off some of that. Bear with me while I saw the end of this off. It's too long. Right, so I've sawn the end of this pip that I've put in and filed it down, so hopefully now that should go in there with enough space to allow that plastic one down the bottom there to just pip into place. Let's just gently ease it in place with a screwdriver as a lever. And we're in. Except that I should have put it in there first, under that wheel. Gonna have to take that wheel out. Right, take that split washer off there. I'm just going to line that little thing there with that thing, just in case it's very vitally important, and then put it back, and then put the spring back in there, and the catch is now fitted in place. Let's reassemble. So we pop that split washer on there, and then we get the plate. Come up there a minute. Now that one has to fit over there, and that one has to drop into there. Is it going to go back a lot easier than it came out? Yep. Excellent. Now, washers, one split washer, one, right. That drives in there okay. Let's go back to this position. At some point that should release the catch, so let's push the cartridge in. And then we crank that back and the cartridge pops out. Magic! Crank it forward again a little bit. It's about there, I think. Cartridge locks in, crank it back. Cartridge pops out. We are halfway there. All we've got to do now is refit that objective lens into the laser compartment. So if we turn it over, can we do it without taking the old optics out completely? I've got a feeling you can, if my memory serves me how best to do it. No, I think it's probably best if we take the optics out altogether, because we probably need to give it a bit of a clean as well. So it's not too difficult to get the optics out of this. Basically 4 screws. Let's just get another little pop. Now these are chamfered, so they can only go in, and basically the whole objective lens floats up and down on these rubber bungs. A clever idea, this Pioneer thing, but inherent failure having the ice cream man, having the objective lens being opposed by gravity as opposed to being helped by gravity. And there we can see that's where the objective lens sits. Bring the camera in so you can see it. So there's our objective lens, and it's got, like, if you look at it, it's got like a ledge on it. And the trick with these is to make sure you put it in round the right way. If you look carefully, you'll see that there is a little bit of a glue. If you look on here, you can see there's a little bit of glue there and a little bit of glue, and hopefully that glue will be on the edge, the top edge where this fits. So if you put it in upside down, it'll never work properly. So this is where you need the old super specs on, and it's got a little bit of glue around that side. So my best guess is it goes in that way round. I'm pretty sure it does. No, sorry, I tell a lie. There's a flat edge on it. There's no flat edge on there. But it sits in that, that's it, I remember now, it sits in that slot. There's no flat edge. Now the other thing you might want to do Yeah, let's just put that down for a minute. There's a, I'll bring it around this way, I can see this a little bit better. There's a plastic case over the top of this optical block which you can unclip, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there it is. One side and the other side. But if we just drive the tracking measure, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Yeah. And then we can release the other little clip which is just there. 3 little clips. The whole top cover should come off. Just like that. Okay, and now we've got better access into it. And you may be able to see if I get the camera focused well enough, but I don't know whether I will. Is that there is a little line. I'm getting my glasses in the way. There's a little line in the glue. So we should be able to align the glue line I just have to move the camera for a minute because I need to see it up close. I can't do that with the camera in the way. So what I'm looking to do is where the glue around this edge here aligns with the glue that's on the lens, and that should hold it in place. And then we get our magic glue. Oh. Otherwise known as nail polish. All we've got to do is just make sure the lens doesn't move whilst we apply and then just make sure, and then we put a little bit of nail polish on this side. And when that sets, that should be as good as new. So we shouldn't have to wait too long. Objective lens looks nice and clean. Might just get there's a little bit got on the tracking bar which we'll take off. Not bothered about that bit on there. So if nobody's ever learnt too much about how lasers in CD players and any optical disc operates, you've got a lens that goes up and down, that's focusing, and then you've got a tracking movement there, just a tiny bit, and then you've got the main tracking sled which goes along there. So basically what happens is when you put a disc in, the laser fires up, the lens moves up and down to focus on the disc, and when it's obtained focus on the disc, it then says, I've got focus, I can then spin the disc. That's the way the system operates. So the system then spins the disc, it then starts to see if there's data coming off of it. If it is, it reads the first part of the table of contents in the middle, and from that it can judge how good or bad the laser optic is, and adjust sometimes the laser amount, but generally just move the focus up and down and tweak the tracking until it can read the data properly before it actually reads the whole table of contents. It happens in microseconds. But basically, if when you put a disc in a CD player it doesn't spin, chances are it's not obtaining focus first. That's the way almost all CD players that I know of work. So let's pop the cover back on, which has to just go in there. Should have moved that along a little bit more. We're going the right way. That catch over there. So the objective lens assembly is not hermetically sealed. Some people say, oh, it is, it's all hermetically sealed. Well, that's absolutely wrong. Some people say you should never clean the lens with isopropyl. Also wrong. It's fine to do it, just so long as you don't scrub it. Quite often you can regain normal function by giving a little blow of air into the objective lens area, and that will clean off any dust that builds up, usually when the CD player is mounted with the lens pointing up, that is. When it's upside down, the dust will sit on the underside of the objective lens, and it's a little bit more difficult that. So having done that, let's pop the mechanism back into its position. By the time we get this back together, that glue should have set. It's pretty much set now. You ladies, you lady engineers out there, your gentlemen engineers out there who wear nail polish, apologies for stereotyping, will know that nail varnish tends to dry fairly quickly, especially if you're in a warm environment, which I am. It's summer, but it's not exactly beastly warm, but unfortunately this time of day, 6:30 in the evening, my little workshop here gets exceedingly hot because there's a big garage door just over there, and it acts like a radiator. Whew. Right, I've been doing a bit of handling around here. I may well have got grease on this drive belt when I was turning it, so I'm just going to quickly wipe that off while I remember. Pop some screws on the chassis. Very quickly desolder that blob. A little bit more. There we go. That all looks to be in place. Won't bother with the front panel for now. Right, so having done a restart after the cameras were doing a funny thing, we are all ready to test it. So we're plugged in and we switch it on, power it on. We'll pop the cartridge in. And we'll press play. Right, so you can probably hear in the background that is track playing. That's track 2 of disc 2. Sorry, track 1 of disc 2. Yeah, so let's go disc 3. Yeah, disc 3 is working. Disc 4, I have no idea what this music is. Oh, that's Queen, we know that one. Right, disc 6 is working, so all the discs are in it. So let's just go to the very last track of the last disc. So that's the outside edge. So the track 20, let's see if it... Nah, it's not focusing. I probably went too far. Yeah, it's going halfway through the disc. It's not doing things right. But then the discs are not exactly clean. Some of these discs have actually got lots of marks on them. Scratches like mad on some of these discs. Oh, you can see that. It's almost like gouges along the disc. That's so far, that's all of them I've seen so far. Yep. So let's take this last disc, which is Greatest Love Songs, and let's see if we can give it a clean. Let's see what it does after we cleaned it. So let's get a bit of lint-free cloth. Oh yeah, that's cleaning up. Let's polish it with a bit of and we'll pop that back in disc 6. This is the furthest we've got on any of these discs now. I've cleaned this disc. $16, $17. This is one of those compilations. Probably more than 71 minutes. Track 20. Yeah. Okay, so I think we know the answer. All of these discs are a bit on the mucky side. So I think we can probably say without a shadow of a doubt that we have fixed the problem. Let's put it back together, clean those discs up and test it one more time. Right, all back together, put the cable tie back that I had to snip out, fold all the cables in, everything's back, giving it a bit of a clean off. Although there's some, well, and then we can pop them back in. Power it on. Press play of disc 1. Track 2. Let's jump to track 6. Yep. 9, 11, 13, 15, 22, the last track. Beautiful. Love it when it plays the last track. Yep. They're all working. We've already done 6. I'm not going to bother testing any more tracks. I'm pretty sure this beast is now working as well as it could do. Now obviously I could go through, I've got the service manual, I've got the test equipment and so on. I could go through and test all that. But there's a possibility in doing that you maladjust something and stop it working. Whilst it's working, leave it alone. Don't twiddle any pots. Don't tweak anything that can be tweaked. If it's working, leave it alone. You only want to go there if it's not working. That's my way of working anyway. May not be everybody else's, but it's my way. So, hope you've enjoyed this little video. I've got another one from the same customer to come next, which is an old Sony turntable amplifier. That should be interesting because it's basically dead. So it'd be interesting to see that. I've also got another amplifier CD player on the cards to do, and a tape deck which I'm in the middle of. But anyway, that's all future projects to come. Hope you enjoyed this video. Obviously, if you like the channel, please like and subscribe. Up to you. Recommend it to your friends if you like. Dare I say, if you want to support me in my little job, Patreon is out there if you want. But I'm not making anybody, pressurising to anybody to do that. It's entirely up to you. I thank you for watching the videos. I thank you for supporting me so far, and I hope to carry on and keep doing some good repairs for you to entertain you. Thanks very much. Bye for now.